Hello everyone, welcome to Good Guide Show of ABC Medical World. I am Amarpreet Singh Arora, CEO of ABC Medical World Preschool Chain. Today we have a very special guest, Dr. Mehak Bansal, pediatrician and childcare critical care specialist from SPS Hospital, Ludhiana, as a good guide. She has experience of more than 13 years in pediatrician and 10 years in the field of pediatric critical care. She has worked with various institutions like Apollo Delhi, King's College Hospital, and Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital, London. She is also a social worker and she is working for child safety and child abuse. Welcome, ma'am.
Hi, good morning. Welcome, everyone.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm good.
So, to begin with, ma'am, please tell us about juvenile diabetes. What exactly it is?
Okay, so juvenile diabetes, what happens is that we have certain cells in our body called the pancreatic cells. There's an organ, pancreas, which जो हमारे tummy में होता है, वहाँ पे we have a pancreas and it has certain cells called the pancreatic cells. And they secrete a hormone which is an insulin hormone. Now this insulin hormone is important for two things. One, the growth of the body, and the second one is to control the blood sugar of the body. Due to any reason, it can be a viral disease or it can be, till now we haven't found a cause for this, but these cells stop making insulin. And this happens is that the body doesn't control glucose. So this glucose is, you have very high blood sugar levels, and because of that, the acid starts collecting in your body, even to such an extent that it becomes life threatening, and even children can die if the diabetes or the sugar is uncontrolled. So this is called the juvenile diabetes or the type 1 insulin diabetes. Now this in this, the only thing is that we haven't found out a cause till now, that what is the cause of this diabetes, but this is what we all have right now, and this is mainly happens in children, and it can happen at any age.
Uh, which children develop this diabetes? Is it genetic or it can happen to any child?
No, now this diabetes, the diabetes is of two types. The type 1 diabetes or the juvenile diabetes we are talking about is because the insulin is not secreted by the pancreas. Now this can happen to anybody, any child, any age, regardless of anything. It is not sure that it is genetically predisposed. It is not sure. We don't know the cause for it, but somehow किसी भी बच्चे के body के cells, pancreatic cells, they stop secreting insulin, and this happens then. Now the type 2 diabetes is the one diabetes which is present in adults also, where the insulin is produced in the body, but the insulin cells, the cells of the body where the insulin acts, they stop functioning. So insulin is there, but the cells on which the insulin has to act, they stop functioning. And this is related with obesity, hypertension, and all that thing. So type 2 diabetes, we have predisposition, like those children who are obese and they have a heart disease, etc., hypertension, they are more prone to develop type 2 diabetes. But type 1 diabetes or the juvenile diabetes can happen to any child, regardless of the age. It is none of their fault. It is not genetically correlated till now.
So, ma'am, how is it different from diabetes in adults?
Okay, so the first and foremost thing is, in juvenile diabetes, the insulin is not produced. So we have to inject insulin into the child's body. Now, insulin is not present in any form. It is just present in injectable form. The trials are running. There's a nasal insulin which is being developed in Australia and all over the world, but they are still in cases. We haven't got the disease. I'm hoping that in next years to come, we will have a nasal insulin which can be injected into the nose. But till now, we have just insulin in the injectable form. Now, this insulin has to be administered in the body because it has to control the blood sugar, and very important hormone for the growth of. In adults, we have mainly type 2 diabetes where the insulin is there, but the insulin is the cells on which the insulin has to act, they are not functioning properly. Now what happens is then even with oral drugs, these things can be controlled. But in children, however, these things cannot be controlled by just oral drugs. We have to give injectable insulin. And the second important thing is that this injectable oral drugs. And the second important thing is that they are predisposed to this diabetes because of their obesity, hypertension. All these things are related, and they eventually cause kidney disease and retinopathy of these diabetic retinopathy, and even it can damage the neurons. That is a different entity. The juvenile diabetes is a different entity.
So, what are the symptoms like in this juvenile diabetes? What are the symptoms?
Okay, so most of the children who come to us, they parents complain of that the child is passing a lot of urine and the child is feeling a lot more thirsty for the last few days. And the third most important thing, other than drinking more water and passing more urine, is the weight loss. So the child will not be gaining any weight and the child will be losing weight. And the child will look very lethargic, dehydrated. So these are the common symptoms. Now, why is this happening is that the insulin is not getting produced. There's a lot of sugar in the body. This whole sugar is being removed from the urine. So there's lot of loss of glucose in the urine, and that is why we have lot of urination, and because of that we have to drink lot of water. So all this is related. These are the common signs and symptoms, and the child will be losing weight and will be feeling very lethargic and dehydrated. So whenever you see such symptoms in your child, just get a blood sugar done and visit a doctor.
So ma'am, how is this diabetes diagnosed?
Okay, so this is very different from the adult diabetes. The adults get a regular checkup of their sugars, and even the obese or even the doctor advises they get their sugars checked. But in children, as I can say, this can happen to anybody. The sugar check is not very common. So usually what happens is the children come to us in a very bad state, that is, which is called the diabetic ketoacidosis. Now, because of this very high blood sugar and a lot of acid collected in the body, the children are usually comatose, lethargic, and they are dehydrated. Sometimes the blood pressure is also very low. And that is the time they get admitted to intensive care unit, and we manage them with insulin infusion. But otherwise, then we get them tested. But otherwise, if you see a high blood sugar in a child with these symptoms, you get a HbA1c done. So HbA1c is a test which says that how much glucose is present in the body and for how long. So if the HbA1c is high, that means the sugar is high for a long period of time. We can have high sugar because of stress, because of certain illness, because of fever, because of any other things. But when the HbA1c is high, that time we know that the sugar increase is not acute. It is been there for a long period of time. So one important test is this. And when the children come to us with very high blood sugar and very high acid levels, we get other tests done like the urine ketone. So that means how much acid is there in the urine, and we get other electrolytes and blood gases done. The important thing is that there is a lot of association of diabetes with celiac disease. So if your child is diagnosed with diabetes, it is very important that you get your TTG IgA levels, which is the test for the celiac disease, also done, because there is a lot of children. We have many children who are both diabetic as well as celiac. So you have to get both these tests done. So in routine, these are the tests which are recommended.
Thank you. So what is the line of treatment for this?
Okay. So one thing people have to understand, that in case of juvenile diabetes, the only treatment is injectable insulin. Till the time the child is in ICU, we give them intravenous insulin. And when the child comes out of ICU or the child is diagnosed like with these symptoms, some parents are really intellectual and they pick up these symptoms early. That time we can start insulin in the skin. which is the subcutaneous insulin. Now, this insulin can be given in the arms, in the tummy, on the abdominal wall, or in the thighs. Some people say giving injection every time to my child. The first few weeks is just takes an acceptance that my child has to be pricked every time before the meal for the blood sugar as well as the insulin. So what we do is that we give check the blood sugar, give insulin, and then give the meal. So it is very traumatic for the parents as well as the child in the beginning that they have to be pricked every time before the meal. So what happens is eventually with a period of time span, because the prick is very small and we have got very good injections right now, which the pen injections, which cause minimal pain and minimal trauma. So with time, the parents get used to, the children get used to, and because their blood sugar levels are better controlled, their growth becomes better, they start gaining weight, and everything normalizes. And in adult children, we even have infusion pumps. Now we have a lot of new modalities, infusion pumps, blood sugar monitoring. There's a device which is chipped into the arm of the baby, which gives a round-the-clock blood sugar levels. And the parents can introduce insulin according to it. So all this is possible today, but the only form of treatment is the injectable insulin. Nasal insulin, as I previously said, is in trial basis. So we are hoping like hell that in the years to come, we would be giving nasal insulin to our children instead of injectable insulin. But as of now, we have no other treatment rather than giving insulin and doing a regular blood sugar monitoring.
Now it means that child has to be on injection for all his life now?
Yes, the child has to be on injection for all his life. But as I said, that the things are evolving. There might be a possibility in the near future that we get nasal insulin. And the second thing is there are infusion pumps, insulin pumps, which are just incorporated into the body once, and the child, that pump keeps giving insulin to the child for round the clock. So there's no additional injection which is being given, and this device is just fitted into the body. But this happens only when the children are big enough, not the small children. They have to be on injectable insulin, and unfortunately, there is no other way to come out of this. But there are many examples in this world who have done really well in their life just because of they are diabetic, just on insulin therapy. They have completely live on a normal life as the others. The only thing is that when the infection occurs, when I catch infection, if I'm a diabetic, if I catch infection, I have to extra cautious, because that is the time the insulin and the sugar levels in the body can go haywire and you need hospital treatment or doctor's advice. So it is really important that otherwise, if your blood sugars are controlled, you're taking a proper diet, you live a normal life. And eventually, I think things will evolve and get other forms of insulin in the market.
Ma'am, what complications will happen if we don't take injections?
So many times now, children come to us after diagnosing diabetes, again and land up in our ICU with lots of complications. They can even have low blood sugar, very high acid levels in the body. And because of this high acid levels in the body, the brain stops functioning. So they come in a comatose state and even they get severe infections, comatose brain, to an extent that there is even death reported. And they get blood pressure down, shock state, and even kidneys can stop functioning and death can occur. So why this happens is, one, the parents take some time to accept that there is no other way other than insulin, injectable insulin, which can be given. जैसे ही sugars normalize होने लगती है, when they have normal blood sugars, they think now the diabetes is controlled, now I can stop insulin. But they forget that the diabetes is controlled because you were giving insulin. And this stoppage of insulin usually creates a havoc and the child lands up in ICU. Secondly, some parents go for other forms of therapies like Ayurveda, homeopathy, etc. So when a child comes to me when I diagnose diabetes, I make sure that I sit with them for half an hour and explain them unfortunately, there is no other therapy which works in juvenile diabetes. The child has to be on injectable insulin. Till now, we do not have a cure of it in Ayurveda or homeopathy. They do work in certain other conditions like allergic disorders and chronic pains. But for diabetes, they have no treatment. And eventually, when they take these alternative therapies like Ayurveda, homeopathy, again the sugar levels go skyrocketing. They have acid levels in their body. They come to us with coma, very high blood sugar levels, blood pressure is down, the kidney is not functioning, and even they can have very life threatening changes. So these are the complications you can land up, and these are propensitated by some infections. Usually those who are very maintained with very good blood sugars as well, they also, if they miss insulin or they develop some infection, they have a propensity to land in the ICU with these complications.
So lastly, I would like to ask, like, what precautions or lifestyle changes should be taken to prevent diabetes in children?
Okay, so for juvenile diabetes, it can happen to anybody. So you cannot do anything to prevent juvenile diabetes. The only thing is, once you diagnose juvenile diabetes, they take proper diet. We do not ask the children not to eat sugars or anything. We give them sugars in adequate amount, not in large amount, and we give them a diet which they get used and which is viable and they feel happy about it, and give them a balanced diet. So they start eating good food rather than eating junk food all the time. And the insulin is modified according to their diets. But in case of type 2 diabetes, which is the diabetes of the older children, or you can say the adults, where the insulin is there but the receptors are not there, in that the main problem is the obesity. And for that, there are three main reasons in the children right now. One is the junk food and the improper diet that they are having. The second most important point is the loss of physical activity. The children are not doing exercises or getting engaged in the activities. So that is very important. And the third and the fourth most important thing is the social media and the screen time. The children are glued to televisions, glued to mobile phones today. They have no time to play. So these type 2 diabetes can be prevented just by doing three things: the balanced diet, proper nutrition, and the second important thing is the physical exercise. Engage your children in physical activities at least for 1 hour per day. And the third is reduce screen time. It should be less. It should be just 1 hour per day. If we do these small things in our life, we can prevent our children from developing type 2 diabetes, hypertension, obesity, because these children are more prone to develop or heart problems later on in life. So they can be prevented, but juvenile diabetes, it's not a preventable thing. It can happen to anybody.
So, thank you very much for the information, Dr. Mehak, and thank you for being good guide of the day. I hope many parents will be benefited from our talk. So thank you, parents, and goodbye. Stay home, stay safe, stay healthy.